Hey, it's the Why We Love Horror Letterboxd Challenged Watch Along show. I feel like that's like a video store bit at this point. It's so ridiculous to say.
It flows great.
Not that anybody watches that channel either. Hey, I'm JWMaher. That's Abby Brooks. That's Aaron Brooks. This is what I said. It's that show. This week, we're into Aaron's prompts, and we're gonna watch a movie with a notorious slow burn. There's just some slow burn movies there on that. We didn't watch any of those movies, but you should watch those movies.
Yes.
And if you don't know what they are, we're not going to tell you. Haha. We'll just do what we always do. We'll go in chronological order. So I'll start. I watched a movie that I had never heard of, but when I looked up slow burn movies, it was there, and it's called "The Last Will and Testament of Rosalind Lee." That is the entire title of the movie. I imagine neither of you guys have seen this movie.
Never heard of
it. That is the poster for it. Basically, Vanessa Redgrave, who we all know and love, is in it in a voiceover role only because she is basically narrating a letter she wrote to her son, played by Aaron Poole, who's like kind of like he's been in a bunch of horror movies as well. And we learn that she's part of some cult is too strong of a word, but definitely a splinter sect of Christianity that really loves angels. And she spent her whole life protecting her son. It's kind of one of those movies where it's like, it's a religious horror movie, and is the threat real? Like, is she crazy, or was she really protecting him from something? And I won't spoil the ending, but we kind of see him come back to the house, like in the wake of her death, and she just voices over the whole thing of him, like, you know, going through her house and finding like her old belongings and angel statues and all this stuff. But then the twist at the end is actually decent. And that's all I'll say with The Last Will and Testament of Rosalind Lee. You're not going to be blown away. It's not going to crack your top 10, but it's a decent story. It's one of those RLGE produced movies, so you know it's right in the middle of the road. That's where it is. I think you're up next, Abby.
Okay, so I watched a movie that I've been putting off watching for a really long time because I knew it was a slow burn and because it's like almost 3 hours long, or maybe 2.5 hours long. But I watched The Wailing. It's a South Korean horror movie, or horror thriller mystery, whatever you want to call it. And it is very, very good. I really, these are the type of like slow burn movies that I do really enjoy. Even the beginning of the movie, which I just reading other people's reviews, a lot of people didn't like the first maybe hour-ish or so. I didn't mind it. It really hooked me from the beginning because I felt like there was actually stuff happening. And you really were learning about these characters. They were really setting up a lot of different things. So yeah, I really, really enjoyed this. And I think it goes places in the end where I'll say there's a twist. And I like movies with a twist also. I don't think that it needed to be as long as it was. But again, I think it is a really excellent movie that the slow burn and the timing like shouldn't scare you from watching it like it did me for the longest time. The plot of it is basically there's like a small Korean village. A Japanese man comes into town and then people start getting sick. Other things people start dying. And then there's a police officer who needs to basically figure out what's going on.
Yeah. You've seen The Wailing, right, Aaron?
Yeah.
Me too. What are your thoughts?
I'm a big fan of it. Definitely, I got to enjoy some of it with her as she watched as well. So I do think like it's definitely a slow burn where a lot more is happening than a lot of slow burns, but I still would count it as a slow burn for sure.
Everybody calls it a slow burn. That's why I was like, this is the one I'm going to watch.
I'm just giving her
I would say there's like a specific South Korean like supernatural horror trend where like there's always one character who would normally be comic relief, but they have a much larger role than the comic relief. Like they're the lead, but they're like a funny character and they seem like totally out of place in the movie, but it winds up working. like
Mhm.
this, The Host. Like it's like they just, and it seems to be limited to South Korea because can't really think of many American movies besides maybe The Cabin in the Woods with Marty, where that
Yeah,
was.
I'd say some Italian horror
Yeah,
definitely
that's fair. Yep, yeah.
zany, wacky. I think for
Yeah.
sure. There's some Japanese horror with that too. I think just in general, it just works better because the other countries are able to not take themselves as serious as sometimes Americans, even with their comedy, do. So,
Yeah.
like if there's comedy, it almost like it just I don't know lends itself better with South Korean and Italian specifically. I think.
Fair enough. And then we'll end on you, Aaron. What'd you watch?
So I watched, I think probably the slowest of the movies, honestly, and it's probably the shortest as well. It's Vivarium, with Imogen Boots and Jesse Eisenberg, and a very annoying kid with an adult British accent. And let's just hope that we don't have that problem. Our child comes. You're okay.
Yeah, I dropped my headphones on the ground.
Yeah, it made a little bit of noise. So
we can recut that. So what'd you watch, Aaron?
yes. So I think I probably watched the slowest and shortest of these movies, but Vivarium, starring Imogen Poots and Jesse Eisenberg, and a very annoying child with an adult British accent. This came out in 2019, like right before or right at the beginning of COVID. Lorcan Finnegan directs it. He did The Surfer this year, which is in probably my top 10 of the year. Really weird, great, borderline slow burn there as well. But this one, a young couple moving into a presumably perfect neighborhood at a deal as well. So they get a deal in their new house and little boxes on all with the same type of neighborhood. And then as they're there, they get different like life tests to kind of work on together. They get a child. Kind of has some similarities in some ways to I feel like The Lobster and the dryness of it all, and kind of getting the forced like life achievements to help you as a couple or as a family to see if you fit well. But I really thought it was creative. Like I was going into it expecting it to be not as dark as it gets. For one, it gets like extremely dark and like uncomfortable. Not gonna lie. I think that Imogen Poots is like she's good in everything, like indie horror wise, especially like seeing her in. Like I think she could have continued in horror, or I hope she does continue in horror. Not that she's gone or anything, but yeah, I would recommend this to pretty much anybody. I thought it was not boring, but it's slow, and just by the design of it and some of the repetition that happens in the movie by nature, I think it makes it feel longer than it is. But I think that's by design, and I don't know. I like this director a lot.
It's also cool to see Jesse Eisenberg in like a role like that too. So that's interesting as well.
Jesse Eisenberg overhated. I really like him in most things he's in, including Superman versus Batman. I thought he was a good Lex Luthor. So why we love comics coming soon.
Yeah, coming on a totally different channel with a different title.
With a hole in my head.
Abby, have you seen Vivarium?
Yes, I have, and it's a very frustrating movie, at least in my opinion. It's one of those movies where they're in like this inescapable situation with the very just annoying circumstances being thrown at them. So like if you can get past all of that, I think it's a good movie to watch. But yeah, it's a very frustrating movie.
Mm-hmm.
Fair enough. Those are all the movies we got for you this week on the Why We Love Horror Challenge. And if you're interested in any of that stuff, you should go to actually do the Why We Love Horror Challenge this year. And we'll be doing this all the time. That's the website of Letterboxd you go to. You can start now. You can start from the beginning. Whatever. It's plenty of great prompts for you to watch. That being said, next week, Aaron's second prompt, your exact words. Watch a horror movie where drugs are featured heavily in the plot or horror. We won't ask Abby. Abby likes surprising us. Aaron, what are you watching for your drug movie?
So there's a lot of good drug movies. There really are. And I am very grateful that I still have Lucio Fulci movies that I have not seen. And I'm the biggest fan of him on this channel. Beyond for Life, and others. A lizard in a woman's skin. Tell me you're gonna have a better title than that. So it's from 1971. So I get to go first next week.
You don't have a better title than me. I'm watching Lovely Molly next week, which I have not seen. I think maybe it's about Molly. I don't know. We'll find out. But if you made this far in the video, like, comment, subscribe, and share. Go to the Facebook group at Why We Love Horror. That is the Letterboxd challenge one more time. We'll be doing this every week here for that. Schedule here. Monday is Versus. Tuesday is Why Liv Loves Horror. Next week she'll do the final Hotel Transylvania movie, Hotel Transylvania Transformania. Aaron's going to be doing. Are you still doing Friday the 13th next week on Aaron and Wines? Or are you taking a break?
We are continuing through the Friday the 13th. We're going to be on to part 3.
3D in shocking 3D. Next week, Thursday, we will be doing this show there again, talking about drugs. And then Friday, Why We Love Horror Trivia. So thanks for stopping by. Until next time, I'm JWMaher. That's Abby Brooks, and that's Aaron Brooks. This has been the Why We Love Horror Letterboxd Challenge Watch Along Show.